Hi everyone, it's Ali, just with a quick technique video on how to use the Kaleidacolor ink pads. If you've watched some of my other YouTube videos, you'll see that I use these ink pads with the alternate layering flowers a lot, and it turns out really beautiful. And one of my lovely subscribers asked for some more ideas for using these pads. So here's the pads here, and some of these I have had for over 15 years and they still work completely fine. So they're obviously good quality pads, and they come in a huge range of different colours. And the ones I'm going to be using today, or the first one I'm going to use, is the Fresh Greens pad, which is just a variation in obviously green colours. I'm just getting a post-it note there as a mask, and I'm just going to mask off along the bottom of my white cardstock there, making sure that it's straight. And I'm going to use the My Favourite Things in Bloom stamp set. I'm looking at particularly using the silhouette sort of leaves from this stamp set. And silhouette stamps, those filled in stamps, I guess, are really great to use with these ink pads because you can see all the colours. So I'm just using my stamp and moving it across the ink pad, trying not to go up and down or mix the colours too much along the length of the ink pad. I'm just going across the ink pad so that my stamp is fully covered. And for each leaf type that I'm choosing, I'm just staying in the same area of the ink pad, just so it gives a bit of consistency and colour when they're stamped out. And you can see on the ink pad there, they have a little notch, a plastic notch, where you can push the colours together or pull them apart on the ink pad when you've finished. So obviously to use it you push them together, and then when you've finished you pull it apart again. And I'll show you in the next bit. I have filed down, or I've actually gotten rid of that little notch, that plastic notch, because it does stick up above the felt of the ink pad, and for some of these techniques I need it to be flat, but I'll show you that a little bit more. So I'm just finishing off this on with some really dark leaves down the bottom, making sure that I spread my inks apart on the ink pad when I've finished, removing the mask. And then I just completed this card by putting a black strip of card and a really nice sentiment there and some clear droplets from Pretty Pink Posh. Simple and easy, and it looks great. So this technique here is to create a background piece, and I'm using just photographic paper, not a particular sort, just and not particularly expensive, and I'm using the baby powder ink pad. And here you can see I've quite roughly, not very well, taken off that notch, and I use my fuse tool to sort of melt it off. It doesn't matter if it's a bit rough as long as it's not poking up above the ink pad, because I want to lay this ink pad flat onto my photographic paper. I've just slowed this bit down so you can see how quickly I'm sort of brushing the ink pad across the paper until I get a good coverage of ink. I'm trying again not to move it so the colours don't merge too much, but just a little bit. And then turning it around and doing the other end. And you'll see, because I've done it in two sections like this, I get a faint line where they've crossed over in the colour, but because I'm going to use something over the top, then that doesn't matter too much. And then I'm just finishing off that top colour to make sure the whole piece is covered. And then you just let that dry for a little while, and then you can use a cover plate or dies to put over the top. So any that you have, and this one's a paper tray ink die, and again with a sentiment strip. This is a free die from a magazine that I purchased. It was Dandelion Border. So there's just a couple of ideas of other ways to use your Kaleidacolor pads. If you've got some in your stash, dig them out, have a go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.